opinion, sincerely as the representative of the public, do you think the judges or the public is happy with the institution of the judiciary? Because we hear a lot of outcries here and there. Then two, probably to the chair, there was this issue of key achievement. Number one, upper bench, Chief Justice, Deputy MP, what? Then he gave a figure of 47. What does this 47 come about? Because I see there are very few, but they are giving a figure of 47. Where are this coming from? I don't know. There's a very big figure of 47 here. And is from his explanation is upper bench, Chief Justice, Deputy Chief Justice, Principal Judge, and 2 judges. Then the total here 47. What is that? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Mjenyi. Ms. Honorable Campagna.
Thank you, Chairperson. For purposes of record, Campagna Abdul Swaibu, representing the people of Waikiki. I was looking at these complaints, the number, and anyone can complain, but it's now about investigating and finding out the truthfulness of these allegations. I'm imagining, ordinarily, from those areas where these judicial officers serve, it is known that a judicial officer cannot receive money directly, even if he was or she was to ask for a bribe. And these complaints come, but the person who received is a distant person whom they use to receive the money. What mechanism do you have for such people who come with such complaints that they have no evidence that directly implicates this judicial officer? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Campagna. Honorable Chair, there is also this common slogan, Nane cash bail of 500,000 and cash bail of 2 million. Which one do you choose? Honorable Cohen.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I don't know why. I think we reason together. I want to first ask the chair. We have a problem. The prisons are complaining. Because when you go here in Kampala, even when there is a traffic offense, a petty offender, my name is Amanya Cohen, from Igara West constituency. When there is a petty offender, the judicial officers have made it a point to first send them to the prisons as they await for their bail. And then, as the chair has said, then when they come back, there is this cash bail, non-cash bail stories. Don't you think that that is one of the areas about the issues of bail that we really need to look at as between you and ourselves? Secondly, Honorable Chair, these election petition disputes, our colleagues and everyone is complaining. They are not being handled. What's the problem? The third one, and as you have clearly stated, that the Uganda Law Society, the representative to the Judicial Service Commission, the 2 members are not part of the team. But the members, I myself, I'm a lawyer by profession, we are concerned that all the statement was done by judiciary.
Thank you, Honorable Cohen.
Let me finish that one. Okay. Because the judiciary issued orders, and we are in the statement as the Uganda Law Society, the representative. So do you think the quorum is okay without hearing views of the lawyers? And again, when you're doing recruitment, don't you think that that's why the lawyers are having a problem? Kenya has adopted a system on what we call the digital. Right now, you can be in Uganda here and you do a case in Kenya. Why has judiciary not done the same for purposes of clearing the case backlog? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Cohen. Congresswoman.
Thank you very much, Chair. And I would like to commend the Chair as well of the GSC for your... Yes, I'll introduce myself. Yeah, thank you very much. My name is Eunice Otoko Apio, the Member of Parliament for Yam County North, and I sit on this committee. I'm the only Congresswoman on the committee, the UPC. Thank you. I appreciate your submission, and I'm really learning a lot about the GSC and in the broader scheme of things. You mentioned that there are 5 judges currently under investigation. I'm just wondering, Mr. Chair, what the Commission's policy or practice regarding judicial officers who are under investigation may be. What could be the policy? Under what circumstances do you recommend, or might you recommend, that they be suspended from active duty, for example? And then, of course, I was also worried about what Honorable Cohen already put across. Do you consider the GSC fully constituted without the 2 representatives from the bar? Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Abdallah.
Thank you, Chair. Chuanka Abdallah. I represent the people of Mukono County North and member of this committee. Honorable Chair, I want the chairperson to explain to us, when you read Article 126 of the Constitution, it clearly stipulates that judicial power is derived from the people. Where, in your selection and when you are recommending judicial officers, I want to know where exactly do the people get involved in the selection, commenting, approvals, while you are appointing these judicial officers. In other jurisdictions, as you have been telling us, Honorable Chair, Dr. Singh is in other jurisdictions, like here in Kenya, you are aware that what they are doing is exactly they bring people on board, they give their views on judicial officers, even before they are promoted. Here we find judicial who are corrupt and well known to be corrupt, and they pass through the sieve of the judicial and get worried. Judicial officers who don't even write judgments, as they are getting promoted from the magistrate, and they get to the High Court. How is that one done? Okay, I would be consulted as an advocate because I'm always there. But even then, for example, right now, when our representatives are not there, when we always interact with the judicial office, and we are aware some of the judicial officers you are promoting and recommending to higher offices, they live even without writing any judgment. How is this done, and how do the people get involved to qualify this article that judicial power is derived from the people? That is issue number 1. Chair.
Oh, you have
Chair,
another issue. Okay.
Yes, Chair.
Let's try to.
Thank you, Chair. We have talked about fighting corruption within this institution, and we are totally in support. As part of, most of us as being part of that institution, by virtue of the fact that we do practice in the institution, we also feel a lot of pain. What initiative have you done? Because a lot of corruption, these adjournments which you have forced these magistrates to do, they push you onto, they don't allow any bail application instantly. By doing that, they are soliciting. Yes, they are soliciting. By the time you come back, they have already negotiated. Of course, they may not be negotiating directly, but they have their people who are always interacting. Can you please try as much as possible to put agents or spies at courts so that we can permanently wipe out this disease called corruption in judiciary?
Thank you so much, Honorable Abdu. Honorable members, forgive me.
Chair, the last one.
First,
The
hold on
last
a-
one,
first, hold on a
the
second.
the last one.
First, hold on a second. First, hold on.
This was the very.
First, hold on. Honourable members, forgive me. We have the Directorate of Public Prosecutions coming in ordinarily at 11. So let's try to be as brief as we can. Please finish your point.
Thank you, Chair. I appreciate Mr. Singiza. You talked about how you have tried to fight this thing where people could see that only some regions have dominated the judiciary, and you have given us the highlight without any shy, and you have opened up that you can see as far as this region is concerned. My worry, when you look in that hierarchy, and when we are talking about this for these positions to be distributed equally, it also was cutting across a certain element to do with religion, not only region where you come from. From the top up downwards, we are missing somewhere in the hierarchy. By missing, Honorable Chair, I mean the Muslims are nowhere in the hierarchy of the judiciary. How do you think about that?
Thank you so much, Honorable. Let me go in order of Ale coming. Honorable Eliab.
Thank you, Chair. For the record, I was here at 15 minutes past 8. My name is Eliab Natulinda Mpolera, Member of Parliament for Ndogwa County West. I want to thank the leadership of the Judicial Service Commission. You elaborated here some good insights. I thank you. But furthermore, I want to bring you to the attention of some other critical department. You created specialized courts to handle issues of tourism, umeme, but there is another element of a specialty that was left out, especially regarding foreigners, and that is the immigration. Quite often, foreigners or aliens are arrested by the Directorate of Citizenship and Immigration Control. They are taken to, in most cases, Nakawa, but even you find that the judicial officers at Nakawa are not well equipped with different immigration issues. My view and advice, Mr. Chair, would be that the Judicial Service Commission should also look into this sector so that they can categorize it and equip the judicial officers to always manage these cases in a timely manner. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Eliab. Final.
Het avondeten. Dat is de belangrijkste meeting van de dag. Want elke avond verdient een groen sausje, nietwaar? Telefoons aan de kant, vorken in de hand. De slappe lach, luid slurpen mag. Alles bespreken en alles opeten. Het avondeten voor elkaar. Met HelloFresh.
Dr. Singiza, during the recent State of Nation address, the executive publicly demanded the denial of bail to certain suspects as a body mandated to protect judicial independence. What concrete steps have you taken as Judicial Service Commission to shield the judicial officers? Secondly, have you succumbed to those demands by executive? We are seeing a kind of a trend as if the judiciary is doing away with mandatory bail. It has happened in the case of Dr. Chiza Besije. It has happened in the case before Chief Magistrate's Court at Kanyanya Kawempe, Mufumbiro and others. Why is it that we no longer have mandatory bail as provided for under the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda. Secondly, what safety protocols or operational safeguards has the Judicial Service Commission put in place to protect judges and magistrates who handle sensitive political and human rights cases, especially those who occupy high-profile offices are involved? Yes, like members of parliament, among others. Dr. Singiza, I have a humble view that a judicial officer who is not protected, whose independence is not protected, may not be in a position to handle certain cases where big people are involved. I thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Honorable Nalukola. Now, in the interest of time, Honorable Members, we have the DPP now doorstep. Let me give chance to the Deputy Chairperson to raise a few questions, and then we close that. I know the Honorable Kataike had some questions. The Honorable Chitiyo had waived his right to ask, so we will keep it at that. So, okay.
Yes, Chair. One, with respect to access, first of all, let me thank them for some of the reforms that they have made. And I practice in Ontario, and I'm very much aware of the clerks. I actually try to be one. I've seen their qualifications, the Supreme Court clerks, and I think that's a move in the right direction. But and I was appreciating, there are many things to appreciate, but I was appreciating their proposal for clerks of very high, very resourceful person to replace the current trend where they put magistrate that may not be very supportive to a judge. So that's one of the proposals they are given. But there are many reforms that I appreciate. But anyways, my question is with respect to access to justice. I know that they have extended very many statutes across the country, but in many of our jurisdictions, and the majority of our people, they are still being served by the lower cadres. And when we talk about salary enhancement, when in the 10th Parliament we passed the Judicial Administration Act, and I know most of the upper cadres were catered for. What I think when you talk about financial constraint, what is your plan for these guys? Because they serve the majority of the people that we serve. And with respect to access to justice too, I appreciate that actually in your tenure, 5 other, I think maybe even in the military judges were appointed. But I have seen in most jurisdictions, Canada, Australia, they use a lot of tribunals because these upper statutes are very expensive to many times to run. And then the question came here when we were dealing with one of our sectors about human rights, how they are appointed. Actually, I asked the minister yesterday whether it is time for Judicial Service Commission to a similar process where they are vetted, then the president is left with a little task of a limited number that has been given. Because do you think it is time, for, especially like Human Rights Commission, and even extend your work to other tribunals? Because in other jurisdictions I've seen traffic issues, you go to, and these are ordinary members, rental tribunals, could be immigration. We need to bring in more tribunals, but what is your plan for that? Because I think that's how we can serve the majority of people. Let me leave it here. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chair. Lastly, Honorable Kataike.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Your Lordship, Babula Noel Kataike, representing the people of Budaka District. My concern is about absenteeism. Does the Commission maintain records and performance data for magistrates? And what disciplinary action is taken against officers who are repeatedly absent without justifiable cause. Thank you very much.
Now, thank you so much. Honorable members, we are still with the Judicial Service Commission, and I know there are so many issues that we may not have raised. Some we shall raise, but very soon they will be coming back here for MPS. But their offices are open to all of us to have interactions and discussions on so many issues that we may not be able to raise now. Your Lordship, I want to invite you. We have only 3 minutes. I don't know how we should handle this. Should we ask him to write in response? But you can make a few responses, then your closing remarks, then we'll expect...
Chair.
No, let him respond in the interest of time. We have another institution.
Just on that one,
no,
a written response.
No, Honorable Campagna, let him respond.
A while ago, my commissioners whispered to me that indeed it is preferred that we respond to all these concerns in a written form. I request that we do that. Maybe I should do one thing, then allow members of the public in 1 minute to tell you how the voice of the public is consumed by the Judicial Service Commission to appoint good people. I just want to end by repeating what I started with, to thank you that you have actually given us a good budget and we are not about to betray that support. Thank you very much. May I ask Commissioner...
Now, since we are going to have written responses, let me give Honorable Adeke a chance to raise her question so that it forms part of the answers we are receiving, and then Honorable Chitiyo. But
thank you for
just
your
write them
indulgence.
down, we'll have written response.
Thank you for your indulgence, Honorable Chair. My Lord, ECMIS, in my opinion, is being weaponized so much that there are accused persons.
Honorable, from which...
My name is Adeke Anebaju, Soroti District. So much that we've seen situations where accused persons who are not in good health conditions are brought to court only to hear from the judicial officers that the rulings will be delivered online. Why is ECMIS being weaponized? Why don't our very able judicial officers send notices to the prison authorities so that they don't have to bring accused persons through a very tedious process to come only to hear that we shall give you the ruling online, we shall deliver it online? Secondly, the Uganda Law Society is not represented on the Judicial Service Commission. How are you conducting business without the voice of the Uganda Law Society, our representatives? I thank you very much, Honorable
Thank you so
Chair.
much. Finally, Honorable Chitiyo.
Thank you so much, Chair, and honorable members, plus members of the Commission. Chair, the Chairperson, Judicial Service Commission, His Lordship, Justice Douglas, has not disappointed me in his submission. That's why I was quiet, listening. Whereas I was once a judicial officer, but of course the occupation has shifted. Now I'm a member of Parliament. And by that, thank you. By that I have a right to at least speak on behalf of my people. Thank you. Chair, the current team at Judicial Service Commission, led by His Lordship, Dr. Douglas, whom I worked with as a magistrate, and I can attest that through his elevation to the chairperson of Judicial Service Commission, is a blessing to this country. And you can see and feel the tangible transformation currently now at Judicial Service Commission. A quick one. Advertisement or adverts for positions at Judicial Service Commission is always made public. It always comes through newspapers. I want to encourage members of the Judicial Service Commission that whereas the adverts come on public newspapers, the short list of candidates for this position should also be made public Number two, successful candidates, after going through the rigorous interviews, should also be made public in the same format, so that this is one of the ways that the public gains trust that Judicial Service Commission is doing work of the public. I worked in Butambala as a magistrate grade 1, where Haji comes from, and I can tell you that I did great work in Butambala. Before I left for Parliament, I left good record at Judiciary, and I'm proud to be. Yesterday, I introduced myself as a proud retired judicial officer, and I will repeat the same because of them. Thank you so much.
This one has come to praise himself. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, honorable members. You said you wanted 2 minutes for the representatives of the public. 1 minute each.
Thank you, my Lord. Chair. Thank you, Chairperson and members, honorable members. The question is long and needs some bit of time to explain. The question is the public happy?
No, Honorable Commissioner. We are not responding to the questions now. We are going to receive written responses. Yes. We just want you to make general remarks to this.
General remarks. Parliament. No, generally, we are very appreciative of the support we get from this Parliament, especially this Commission, as our Chair has put it. And we promise that we are doing all what it takes to make sure that we don't disappoint you. In fact, we have kept our ears to the ground, listening very, very attentively, not to what you are telling us here, but what we hear from outside, when we get to the barazas and public fora. These radio talk shows and TV shows you see us, where we spend a lot of time explaining and answering questions, is meant to hear from the public and to our level base to make sure that we move the public to answer the question from that extreme corner that power is derived from the public, useful upon the public. That is exactly what we are trying to do, but we are very grateful. And as you put it, Honorable Chair, we are ready to receive any of you if you came in to meet us as a commission to explain or to interact or to share a few remarks with you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You've even actually received an invitation to a radio station in Agago by my deputy chair in Patong. Oh. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Let's hear from your colleague.
We have taken note of it. We are going to get in touch with you.
Okay. Let's hear from your colleague. And you'll forgive me, you'll be the last.
Okay. Thank you, Honorable Chair and Honorable members. As a member of the public, we have engaged in our strategy, working down to the grassroots, and commissioners over this 7th commission have actually taken time to go and meet with LC1, LC2, LC3s. We've interacted with RDCs and the security places where they've come out openly to voice their concerns. And with the responses we've been giving to them, their complaints, their concerns have been addressed.
Have you done that Soroti too?
Yes, we did that in Katakwi.
Okay.
And we have the former chief magistrate. He did good work there with us. They transferred him, I think, to Masindi. But because of our involvement with the grassroots community there, and people are responding. Actually, when you see numbers of complaints and responses skyrocketing and going up, that is indeed the confidence people now have in our vision of being a bridge to justice in Uganda.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. I look forward to hosting you in Kamuli one of these days. And thank you for the job well done. Honorable Chairperson, you have our highest regards and appreciation, as you have heard from the members, for the tremendous work you're doing. Honorable Deke, you had one last question, but I want you to escort our Judicial Service Commission out and whisper that last question to them in private.
inspiring Uganda.
Teens Crown, an amazing off-the-hook youth program, brings you an array of fun, exciting, and educative segments you do not want to miss. From red carpet moments to proms, youth empowerment programs to youth gig vibes, and so much more, Teens Crown will get you hooked. Only on UBC TV every Saturday at 1:30 p.m. Don't miss.
I'd like to thank all our clients, our valued taxpayers. Program of Buza Commissioner. On behalf of URA, I would like to pledge that we are committed and
A very good evening to you all. Thank you for joining us on the UBC News tonight. My name is Wadulo Arnold Mark, and we're going to be taking you for the next 1 hour. So do sit tight. Let's give you the headlines and then get straight into the bulletin. Regional Director Yakub Jonabi discusses with government the joint Ebola response efforts. Uganda writes to US seeking a waiver on travel ban for endorsed UN Secretary General candidate Otunu, and Bank of Uganda reaffirms its commitment to modernize national payment system. And in sports, boxing bodies in court over the control of professional boxing in Uganda. Once again, thank you for joining us. We now give you the news in detail. President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni has urged religious leaders to change the way they interpret the Word of God, emphasizing that more of that gospel that teaches people how to fight poverty is necessary. President Museveni delivered this message through his Vice President, retired Major Jessica Alupo, at the national prayer gathering that was held at Kololo Independence Grounds. Let's have a look.
Born again, I've prayed for the nation as the country enters new political journey. Prayers at Kololo Independence Grounds were organized by the Generations Pastors Network, and the Vice President, retired Major Jessica Alupo, represented President Museveni. The faithful prayed for peace to prevail in the country, for God to have mercy on the leaders of this nation, starting from President Yoweri Museveni and his family, the judiciary to deliver judgments without fear or favor, for an end to corruption in government institutions, for security agencies to be compassionate while enforcing the law, and prayers for all those who have died in accidents.
That every Ugandan is hard working to come out of poverty and to also add value to this country and their societies where they're living.
In his message delivered by his Vice President, retired Major Jessica Alupo, President Yoweri Museveni asked religious leaders to emphasize the gospel that teaches people how to fight poverty.
If we have spiritually seen the light,
then we must do the same economically. We cannot see the spiritual light yet stay in economic darkness. Jesus Christ should serve as an example to all the religious leaders and their followers. He earned his living by working alongside his father Joseph as a carpenter. He worked for both the spiritual and socio-economic uplift of his family and society.
President Museveni notes that religious leaders have done a great job in the program of saving souls of Ugandans, and it is now time for them to learn how Jesus Christ used to preach the gospel, especially by addressing issues that affect the people.
Regardless of tribe, religion, political affiliation, etc., we advocate for East African and African cooperation and integration as a strategy for guaranteeing greater prosperity and security. Therefore, Christianity fosters unity and tolerance for one another, which are the precursors for development.
Pastor Mugisha Gifty said that born-again faithful have a plan to build schools and hospitals in different parts of the country so that they also contribute to national development.
Unity with all they want to come out of poverty. Pastors have said they told me ask for us. Request our dear President.
This prayer gathering was also attended by faithful from Kenya, Rwanda, Congo, among other countries. Robert Katamba, reporting for UBC News in Kampala.
And in more UBC News tonight, the World Health Organization Regional Director for Africa, Professor Mohamed Yakub Jonabi, and the Director General Africa Centers for Disease Control, Dr. John Kaseya, have held discussions with top government officials and Ministry of Health to assess how the joint Ebola response efforts can be sustained in the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Nu tot €500 korting tijdens de Back to School deals. Of je nou deze zomer lekker wilt gaan toeren of de blitz wilt maken aan het begin van het nieuwe schooljaar, je krijgt er ook nog eens een gratis onderhoudsbeurt bij. Waar ga jij voor? Ga je voor een nieuwe fatbike, skinnybike, e-bike of scooter? Kom langs in een van onze winkels of bekijk het assortiment online.
Is dancing on the velvet of
The delegation met with the Vice President Jessica Lupo and the top management from the Ministry of Health, led by Health Minister Dr. Chris Bariomosi.
A high-level delegation from World Health Organization and Africa Centers for Disease Control has commended government for containing the imported Ebola outbreak.
So once again, let me take the opportunity on behalf of WHO to thank the transparency, openness, and cooperation during the outbreak when it was active in Uganda from the imported cases from DRC.
We are the witnesses of your success. And the success is not just to control the outbreak, but also the innovative way that Uganda managed to control the outbreak.
The delegation met with the Vice President, Jessica Alupo, and discussed a coordinated regional action in containing disease outbreaks.
Uganda has therefore adopted a principle that our health security is inseparable from that of our neighbors, supporting the Democratic Republic of Congo to contain this epidemic and at its source is not only an act of solidarity, It is actually a strategic investment in the health security and economic stability of the entire region.
The Minister for Health, Dr. Chris Barrio-Munsi, pledged government's support to DRC to contain the Ebola outbreak.
Earlier on, we had signed a memorandum of understanding between Uganda and DRC, where we are handling this outbreak jointly. And to this end, we have so far sent 58 of our professionals, the specialists, to beef up the team in the DRC. We have established treatment centers in Aru. Aru is the other side of Arua, and Kasenyi the other side of Ntoroko, Erekalbat. So that's where our teams are. So our teams are in Congo supporting our counterparts there.
The visit by the World Health Organization Regional Director for Africa, Professor Muhammad Yaqub Janabi, and the Director General, Africa Centers for Disease Control, Dr. Jean Kaseya, said Uganda is part of the joint efforts to promote health security and resilient health systems in Africa.
And furthermore, the government of Uganda has written to the United States of America seeking a waiver on the travel ban to enable its endorsed candidate for the position of the United Nations Secretary General, Dr. Olara Otunu, to travel while canvassing for support from relevant member states. The travel ban was imposed by the United States following the Ebola outbreak that had been reported in Uganda. Uganda's Ministry of Health declared Uganda Ebola-free. However, the World Health Organization mandatory days are yet to elapse. Let's have a look.
Uganda is among the 3 countries affected by the travel restrictions imposed by the United States after declaring the presence of Ebola. The other countries are South Sudan and Democratic Republic of Congo. Recently, the Ministry of Health declared Uganda Ebola-free, leading to the lifting of all Ebola-related standard operating procedures. However, following the government's endorsement of Dr. Olara Otunu for the position of United Nations Secretary General, the candidate's international campaign has been affected by the U.S. travel ban.
That is where we are. The rest of the candidates are in New York or the various capitals. They have been canvassing and campaigning for a long time. We hope very soon, when the waivers come through, we'll begin with New York. That is where the action is, the seat of the United Nations.
The government of Uganda has officially written to the U.S. requesting a waiver to allow the endorsed candidate to meet relevant stakeholders and member states as part of his campaign. The U.S. is yet to respond to the request.
To cool our heels here, discussing with Washington and petitioning for a waiver to make it possible for us to leave Kampala and go to the U.S. I think we are very close to getting a positive answer, and I want to thank the government of the United States.
The government has appointed former Prime Minister Dr. Ruhakana Rugunda to lead the delegation tasked with lobbying for international support for Uganda's endorsed candidate, Dr. Olara Otunu.
Ruhakana Rugunda, who is well known to you, and is going to take the lead in the mobilization for support for our candidate.
The United Nations was often paralyzed by the election and the controversies about getting new Secretary Generals. Olara Otunu, as President, developed innovatively the position of having a straw ballot in a manner that the balloting would start early until there was consensus. He's the expert on it, and I'm glad we have the innovator.
Uganda's permanent representative to the United Nations, Adonia Yebale, has also joined the campaign to rally support for Uganda's bid to secure the position of United Nations Secretary General.
That we are ready to receive you. My team is ready to receive you and facilitate you to do your campaign for UN Secretary General. Let me say that we really have an experience of winning.
Dr. Urara Otunu presented his manifesto highlighting his extensive international experience, which he believes positions him competitively against other candidates in the race.
Discouraged straw balloting is what Urara Otunu designed in December 1981. It worked. It produced Perez de Cuellar, Secretary General Perez de Cuellar, and since that time, the Security Council has used it for the election of every Secretary General, including this season's election. So that is the so-called Otunu formula. It bears the name of one of you.
Dr. Otunu promises to focus on strengthening the influence of the United Nations and reviewing its approaches to resource mobilization.
I put out a sketch which I've called Outline of Agenda for the United Nations. That is, even though the UN is now occupied with a number of issues across the board, the most important single mandate for the United Nations remains the issue of peace and security.
Abdunasele Lubwama for UBC.
And that's a developing story that you should follow up in our subsequent bulletins, most especially when we shall be sharing what it means to have a seat as a Secretary General and what it means for Uganda as a whole. In other news, Bank of Uganda has reaffirmed its commitment to modernizing national payment systems and allowing safe and faster financial transactions across the country. As the sector prepares to commemorate 60 years, Bank of Uganda has steered the nation from colonial currency management to complete financial sovereignty, restoring macroeconomic stability after the disruptions of the 1970s and 80s. Let's have a look with Dennis Sigua.
En schat?
1,6. Erbij.
Je probeert het echt. Maar voor sommige mensen is afvallen gewoon lastiger. Tijd voor een andere aanpak. Met Wellness werk je aan gewichtsverlies met hulp van een geregistreerde arts. Gewoon vanuit huis. Zo geeft Wellness je minder strijd, meer zelfvertrouwen en meer resultaat. Wellness. Afvallen met medische begeleiding. Kijk of je in aanmerking komt op getwellness.com.
Let's talk.
What can I do for you?
Bank of Uganda will on the 15th of August commemorate 6 decades of shaping Uganda's financial landscape and supporting the country's economic development.
Initially, the services of the bank were performed by what we called the East African Currency Board, which operated, and it was East Africa-wide. It was for East Africa, and the currency was therefore managed by a board which covered the Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania. So the Uganda shilling came into force on the 15th of August 1966, and we are very grateful for the bank for what it has done in keeping the economy, in keeping the macroeconomic stability, in controlling inflation.
As the nation's central bank, BAU plays a distinct role from the commercial banks. The Deputy Governor, Professor Augustus Nwagaba, explains the institution's mandate and its responsibility in maintaining monetary and financial stability.
The central bank, the Bank of Uganda, is mandated to ensure that the commercial banks perform their role properly and the people have confidence in these commercial banks. That is the role of the central bank. How do we do it? We ensure that the commercial banks have sufficient money to give to the one we call liquidity. Then you also have payments. The central bank is mandated to ensure that we have a very good payment system. So we run a system which ensures that when you make a payment, you receive your money, somebody sends you your money in any country that you can talk of. You receive your money safely and the correct amount.
Over the years, the Ugandan shilling has demonstrated remarkable resilience, even amid global economic shocks and uncertainties. Today, it remains among the best performing currencies on the African continent, says Professor Nwagaba.
And the reasons why the currency is performing is because of a number of things, and one of them is the way the central bank has managed what we call monetary policy, the way the central bank has managed price stability, the tools and levers which the bank uses to manage the prices of goods and services, and also the way the commercial banks are managed, what we call the financial sector stability.
As the country prepares to celebrate this important milestone, the